Good morning to those in Western Australia and Northern Territory in Australia. Today we're going to be discussing Cyclone Fina, which is making landfall currently in around the Tiwi Islands in Northern Australia, or Northern Territory. Just north of Darwin, it is expected to make potentially a landfall in Darwin as a Category 2 or 3 strength system. I'm going to share the stream and then we'll get more into it. Hello, honey. Hello, Chester. Again, if you have any questions, you can always ask them in the chat, and I will answer them towards the later part of the update. Okay, just making sure that's posting, There we go. So I did want to thank you all so much for the well wishes. I'm still a little bit sick. It's like a cold. I'm getting better slowly. Okay, I should be much better by the next update I do. Alright. So let's discuss the forecast now on the system. It is currently a Category 2 strength system. That's not on the Australian scale. Australian scale, it's likely a Category 3 at this point. It is expected to get very close to Darwin over the next 12 hours or so, 6 to 12 hours. And it will potentially peak out within the next 12 hours as a Category 2, high-end Category 2, potentially even becoming a major Category 3 cyclone. It then will be meandering to the southwest and potentially weakening down to a Category 2, and then continues to weaken by hour 36 down to a Category 1. Hour 48's a high-end tropical storm, then moves inland into Western Australia, and then dissipates by day 4. I did want to stress that this is a very uncertain forecast, as any wobbles that it does will drastically change its intensity. Currently, it's wobbled a little bit more to the north now near the Tiwi Islands, potentially made a landfall there. So this forecast may get nudged a little bit more to the northwest than what's shown right now. Now let's talk impacts, okay? There's an area here with marginal impacts, which does pretty much includes northwestern Northern Territory and northeastern Western Territory in Australia there. Slight impacts do include the Tiwi Islands, as well as, again, portions of northwestern Northern Territory and northeastern Western Australia. And then there is a corridor of moderate impacts, which is going to be mainly for heavy rainfall, but also some cyclone force winds. It does include the southeastern. It would be Melville Island, I believe, is what that is, right over here, as well as portions of, again, northwestern Northern Territory. Now, there is a corridor of major impacts, which is going to be expected for not just Darwin, but also other areas like Crab Claw Islands, as well as even Channel Point, almost Channel Point right down over here. So, corridor of major impacts expected there. This is going to be for rainfall, but they could see major impacts in the form of wind. Now, let's discuss what we mean by that, okay? Based on what threat level of impacts. If you're in the marginal category, expect minor tropical impacts with brief periods of gusty winds and some rain. A few branches may come down, and minor street flooding is possible. In that slight category, noticeable storm conditions with gusts capable of knocking down tree limbs and causing power outages. Localized flooding may affect low spots. In that moderate category, damaging winds may snap trees and tear weaker roofs. Flooding of neighborhoods and small rivers are possible, making some roads impassable. Now, the major category, this does include Darwin. Severe winds can cause large-scale structural damage and long-lasting power and communication outages, but the main thing you need to be worried about is life-threatening flooding in vulnerable areas. Right, now let's discuss the world of tropics, since there are other threats that we need to be talking about. All of these other systems are land threats. Oops. I accidentally drew the red line on top of the icon, but in the Western Pacific, we have a disturbance here with a 20% chance of development over the next 48 hours. That would be before it impacts the Philippines. The 70% chance over the next 7 days as it meanders into the South China Sea towards Vietnam. The system will be crossing the Philippines in about 2 to 3 days. I will have more updates on it if it looks like it's going to become a tropical cyclone or not. In the North Indian Ocean, mainly the Bay of Bengal, we have Invest 95B near Malaysia, here with a 40% chance of development over the next 7 days. There's also another disturbance here near Sri Lanka and southeastern India with a 40% chance of tropical developments. We are currently code orange, and that is for a Cyclone Fina here, which is Category 2 now, winds of 100 miles an hour. Alright. Now, looking at satellite imagery, we can see a decent band feature to the eastern side, but overall it's a pretty compact system. It looked like very briefly an eye feature almost popped out right there. It is currently firing vertical heat towers, and there has been lightning activity detected on that western eye wall. Looking at infrared imagery here, we can't really see much of an eye feature really too much on here, but very cold cloud tops of around minus 80 to minus 90 degrees Celsius, pretty much all surrounding the center there, mainly on the northern side though. Talk about sea surface temperatures, incredibly warm. Some of these pockets are reaching up to 31 to 32 degrees Celsius, so incredibly warm. And oceanic heat content's a little bit of a problem here, not going to lie. It will be entering a more favorable environment as it meanders more to the southwest. Now, in terms of what about the other environment, well, shear is expected to remain quite low, in that low to moderate category throughout its life. Sea surface temperatures, not going to be a problem. Relative humidity, dry air, is expected to become more and more of an issue over the next few days. But again, steady intensification, maybe even rapid intensification, could be possible over the next 24 to 48 hours. Again, it's uncertain as to how much it will weaken before it makes its final landfall in Western Australia. Now let's talk distances from areas. The latest Joint Typhoon Warning Center forecast came out, and they're nearly forecasting a Category 3 system on the Saffir-Simpson scale. Nearly a Category 4, I believe, on the Australian scale. They do have it as a Category 3 right now. Location, distance-wise, it is currently over Melville Island, and if we look at other areas here, it's currently around 105 kilometers away from Darwin, around 160 kilometers away from Crab Claw Island, and around, let's see what other areas here, was that Channel Point, which is going to be located right about here, I believe. Maybe not. Where is it? Anyways, yeah, pretty much just around 350 kilometers away from Wadeye. Catherine's around 320 kilometers away, just only getting some of those outer clouds. And then the area where it could make landfall in Western Australia, it's around 480 kilometers from you there. Alright, now let's look at the model runs, mainly the HWRF and the HAFSA model run. HWRF model run does have it making landfall in Darwin, does have it weakening, really just is a weak system all the way up until it nears Western Australia. It does meander to the north and misses, prevents it from making a direct landfall. Looking at the HAFSA model run and what it's showing, it is showing it will have a secondary peak before making landfall in Western Australia there. But fortunately, it does weaken right before landfall, but still tremendous rainfall pounding wherever it makes landfall because of that stalling nature of the system. Now, I am curious to see what are these sea surface temperatures looking like on the model run, how much upwelling is going to be happening. Really not a whole lot of upwelling expected here. It does cool it from like 30 to 29 degrees Celsius, but that's not a whole lot. It has done a lot of upwelling just north of like a few days ago or so. Now, I did want to discuss the European AI model run. What is it showing? Pretty much same scenario. Does have it moving a little bit more to the south, having it making landfall in Western Australia. So it's just a trough that's trying to pick it up there. Let me look at some of these previous model runs. Why is it shifted more to the west? Kind of hard to tell. Okay, now looking at the latest radar imagery, we can see Darwin is getting some light to moderate rain right now. You can see the storm and its eye feature really stalling over Melville Island. So it likely has made a landfall there around an hour ago, maybe. But it is expected to go back over water, and it looks like it's doing that now. So you can see over here, it's now making a southward jog. And then it will be trying to move more to the southwest towards Darwin. Now, how close does it get? That's a little bit uncertain right now. And we can see it's lopsided more on the western side, with much of the rainfall happening on the southwestern side. But there are still two bands on the eastern side as well that will be lashing Darwin. Now let's talk rainfall. How much rain is expected over the next mainly 3 days or so? So European run for Darwin is showing an additional 300 to 400 millimeters of rain. Some areas southwest of Crab Claw Island could see up to 500 millimeters of additional rainfall. And wherever it potentially makes landfall in Western Australia, could see up to 300 millimeters of rain. Look at the American run, similar story, but a little bit lower totals. Darwin gets around 250 millimeters of rain, and areas in near Western Australia up to 400 to 500 millimeters of rain. German model, it keeps it more away from Western Australia, but does deliver quite a beating to Darwin with winds or with rain accumulations up to 300 millimeters, with some areas up to 400 to 500 millimeters the closer you are to the coast. But like I said, this run does spare Western Australia. The maximum is only up to around 80 millimeters. And it just goes to show the variability of it. Let's see, access model, what is it showing? Darwin gets an additional around 200 to 300 millimeters of rain. And the access CDNI model run, let's see, this doesn't go out too far. But just over the next 15 hours alone, some areas could see 500 to 600 millimeters of rain, depending on where the system stalls. So yep, here's a look at the rain right now on where it's located at. You can just see this band that just goes to the south of it there. Let's see if I can just do a real quick play. You can just see that band that's whipping near Darwin there, that heavy band and that eastern band as well. Thankfully, it's not a death band. It's not moving to the east, but it is just pounding those areas near east of Darwin and over Darwin. Now, wind accumulations, is there anything interesting with this to show? Yeah, okay, nothing on, I don't know if that's pretty accurate. Okay, European run may be doing the best job. Just double check. Yeah, I think the European run's doing the best job on winds. Wind gusts of up to 180 to 190 kilometers an hour are going to be possible. Darwin is expected to see 160 kilometer an hour wind gust. Now let's discuss the model uncertainties with the system. Where do they want the system to go? Again, they're all kind of all over the place here. The consensus does have it curving just offshore, like just away from making a landfall. But I am curious to see some of the model trends here, mainly from the, it's moved more to the southwest compared to forecast. I want to see the Google DeepMind model here. What has it been showing? It's definitely shifted more to the southwest, but in more recent runs it's shifted more to the southeast. But it has been locked in on it making a landfall in Western Australia. I believe the half-say model run should be locked in on that as well. Yep, pretty much locked in on landfall happening in Western Australia. Again, it moved more to the southeast compared to forecast recently, but it has made a wobble to the northwest, so maybe it's going to correct itself. Now, Google AI Ensemble members, these are the most recent ones, do have it peaking out as a Category 2 or 3 strength system, before then weakening it down to a tropical storm, maybe moderate tropical storm at landfall in Western Australia. That's it. Now let's answer some questions. Please do Typhoon Rai. I have already animated Typhoon Rai. Yep, I'm sick. I have a cold. Unfortunately. I got it like... I don't know, what day is it even? I got it like Sunday, so, man, I've almost had it for a week now. But it's getting better. Next Philippine name is Verbena. Interesting. Any update on North Indian Ocean? Yes, they could be seeing 2 tropical cyclones side by side. Let's pull that up. Let's go to India here. You can see this one right here, this broad circulation that's happening near Malaysia there. Could become a brief tropical cyclone. Their European AI model is showing some strong vorticity by the time it makes landfall there. So that could happen. But we also can see another obvious circulation here. Now this is going to be interesting to forecast because this is going to be over Sri Lanka. I mean, it just pretty much encapsulates the entirety of Sri Lanka. And topography of Sri Lanka, there are some mountainous areas there in Sri Lanka, so this is going to be very difficult to forecast. And how would you determine if this is a tropical cyclone or not, if it's pretty much the whole circulation covers the entire country? But eventually it's going to move off towards India and maybe dissipates, or maybe strengthen. Let's see here, that's going to be due to an increase in shear. Yep, okay. Google AI Ensemble members there, what do they want system to do? They don't want anything too strong, really, I don't think. Now, the next thing that I'd like to discuss is even the one that happens near the Philippines may only become a Category 1, but the one after that, that could become a much more powerful system. I'm seeing more support on that. But that is just beyond the 7-day range, so I haven't marked it just yet. I did want to mention as well, though, there is a signal potentially popping up in the Atlantic. There I've seen some of these ensemble members showing a little bit of something happening. The previous one showed a little bit more support than that. Yep, right there. So just something to keep an eye out on. It's beyond the 10-day range, though, and much beyond the 7-day range. Yes, thank you guys for the well wishes. Alright, and I guess last thing I need to say though is if you haven't already, please consider subscribing. We are trying to reach 5.5 thousand by the end of I don't know when. Don't know what to shoot for the end of the year. I can briefly do some math on that. That would be 514. Let me see how many days until January 1st. 41. And I could reach it. Can I actually reach that? Let me just take a look at the subscriber thing. How many am I getting per day? Oh, whoa, yeah, okay. Yeah, this is reachable. Okay, maybe 6,000 by the end of the year. Always fascinating to see something so close to the equator, yes. Alright, well, thank you all so much for watching. Now, I did want to say next updates. And then we are currently Code Orange, but high-end Code Orange. If we go to Code Red, there will be another live stream in 2 days from now. Otherwise, it's probably going to be another 2 to 4 days until the next live stream, or next live update. Maybe discussing that system by the Philippines in 2 to 4 days. We'll see. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next update. Stay safe.